Recording.
All right, well, I'm on my way right now out of Maroochydore, so I've spent, I think 4 nights here.
Recording.
I just started recording a bit too late, but there's these amazing kind of mountains along the Queensland coast. They're just kind of these high conical formations that just stick up basically out of the landscape, and yeah, they're really striking, and it's one of those things where when people talk about Queensland, over there, I don't know if you can see it through the trees, but anyway, when people talk about Queensland, you kind of imagine beaches, and you imagine the far reaches of the Queensland outback and the very dry and arid regions. You also imagine, perhaps the Daintree and the deep tropics, tropical rainforests, and the Great Barrier Reef, all that kind of stuff. But what you don't I don't often consider are the coastal mountains, which are just stunning. Everyone comes to Sydney and raves about the Blue Mountains, and to be honest with you, all right, they're mountains, I guess, after a sort. And I come from Africa, where even there the mountains aren't that impressive, but you go to the Drakensberg Mountains, and those are proper mountains. They come sticking up right out of the ground. You can see them from hundreds of kilometers away, and they form this great wall, that separates what is known as the Highveld from the coastal plains. And and you rise 2,000 odd meters. Now I know there's the Kosciuszko and all that kind of stuff, where those are proper mountains, but I don't regard the Blue Mountains, to be honest, as one, all that impressive, and two, as proper mountains. So there you have it. But here in Queensland, they actually look like mountains that rise out of the ground.
Recording.
All right, so it's just before 7 a.m. and I'm just leaving the Avondale homestead just north of Bundaberg. I'm supposed to ride into some big rains, or there's big rains coming through in Queensland. The weather reports have been all about that. So I thought I'd put my wet gear on and preempt that a little bit, because to do it on the side of the road with riding boots is just a mission. So now I'm on my way to sort of Rockhampton, that kind of area, somewhere in that region. And of course, with my sat-nav, it's working now. I've got 163 kilometers, I think, to Gladstone. So I'm going via Gladstone, and just because, well, right now, I mean, it's not raining, and I don't see any heavy clouds ahead of me, so I think it was a smart move to get on the road straight away. I think all the weather, if it's going to happen at all, is going to start happening from the south and work its way up. Well, this is Miriam Vale, and how long have I been on the road for? Let's just have a look here. I've done 93 kilometers, and yeah, so I'm going to see if I can find somewhere to stop and have a coffee. It is Sunday and it is Queensland, and they haven't quite got into the 21st century. It's quite a nice little place. Quite a nice little place as well. Very nice. Coffee. A food store with nothing for. Ah. So I'm on my way out of Rockhampton. I spent the night here last night, did about 290 kilometers yesterday, and got in relatively early to Rockhampton, just after 1. But I just thought, look, it's a long way between Rockhampton and the next reasonable stopping point where I'd get because of the rain around, I wanted a motel room and I wanted Wi-Fi reception and all that kind of stuff, and sometimes these sort of one-horse town motels and that don't really have all of those facilities, and the rooms are sometimes a little sus, which for the most part I can deal with, but if you can have a nice room, then why not? So, I stopped over here in Rockhampton yesterday, and I'm on my way to Mackay today. Going to be a longish day. I think it's about 300 and odd kilometers. So 31,250 on the clock right now, and I'm going to guess at 31,370. So 31,570. 31,570 will be Mackay. So 31,570. So yeah, it's overcast, and look, it's one of those things, weather's weather, there's nothing you can do about it, and there's all sorts of big rains projected for this part of the country, but I know lots of the warnings are for further south, and I'm heading north, which is good news for me, not for them. And so yeah, it's one of those things where I hope to be riding out of this weather. I'm in my full rain suit, and it's just like a sweatsuit. It really is. It's bloody uncomfortable. And, but I know as soon as I take this jacket off, it'll start bucketing down. It's one of those things, Murphy's Law. So I'm trying to preempt that. And if I get on the way a bit, look, the clouds are pretty high in front of me right now. And that's north. That's where I'm heading. So by all accounts, it's not going to rain down on me. Yeah, those are famous last words. So while I'm riding, I'm listening to some audio books. I've been listening to some Mike Herron books, which I enjoy reading. He writes a good spy novel. And I've been listening to some sort of short stories of his, which I must say I didn't enjoy because I didn't like the sort of overacting done by the readers, the narrators of the book. However, I had also downloaded The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, a book that I read many years ago, and at one stage, how I got introduced to it was a serialized radio play that sort of ran in 15-minute segments, and I used to listen to it every morning. I'm sure I was still at school then, and I'd listen to it, and it was just brilliant. I loved it. And many years later I read the book and I loved that too, and all the subsequent books in the now inappropriately named trilogy of 5 or 6 books. I don't recall exactly how many. Anyway, this Audible book is read by Stephen Fry, who is, in my opinion, just the perfect voice for this, and he does a brilliant job. And I'm riding along, and I find myself chuckling out loud at the story. It's just a brilliant story, and if you haven't read or listened to The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, it's highly recommended. So do it. It's a cult book, and it's got that status for good reason. I don't want to jinx myself, but up to this point of the ride, given all the rain that's been around, I've been really lucky not to have spent most of this ride just driving in lousy weather. But yeah, I've kind of timed things very fortunately. I would argue well, to just stay ahead of the rain, or manage to get on the road while it's a bit dry and get some dry kilometers under the belt. So it seems to be the case today. As I say, I don't want to jinx myself, and I'm good at doing that.
Recording.
All right, the kilometers are 31573 from the motel, and I've just filled up as well, and I'm on my way out of Mackay and heading in the general direction of Townsville. Now, whether I make Townsville or not is another question. It's a long way. According to my sat-nav, 389 kilometers. So at this stage my sat-nav seems to be doing its thing. Having had a sleep for the night and been switched off and unbatteried and everything. So, you got to say, okay, well, let sleeping dogs lie. So let's hope that this plays along for a while. It's like my luck might just be about to run out. I see some very ominous looking skies ahead. Well, I'm just riding into Townsville at the moment. So, yeah, pretty big day. But, made some good progress. Notwithstanding a little bit of rain around that I rode into every so often. At one point, sort of some heavy-ish squall. It's just started to rain again now. I've just stayed on the motorway through Townsville and kind of heading out the north end of it now.
Recording.
Alright, well, I don't know how much of this you can see, but I thought I'd just get some audio down of what's going on. I did shoot another video. Well, yesterday I tried to press on from Townsville to get to Ingham, and about 30 k's out of Townsville, 40 maybe, no, I don't know, yeah, about 40. My bike just kind of died on me, and I thought, well, that can't be fuel because my tanks were full enough, let's put it that way. And so I managed to restart it, and I think it was just wet ignition. Some water got into the wiring somewhere, and I restarted it, and I sputtered and puttered on for about another 4 or 5 k's to a little spot called Rolling Stone, and I pulled in there. It was bucketing down at that time, and I pulled in there and took refuge, and hoping that the rain might break, 2, my bike might dry out and I could get back on the road. But the rain wasn't going to stop. It hasn't stopped all night. Yesterday was a day to remember, all right. I thought I'd ride as far as Townsville and then do the last leg from there to Trinity Beach today. However, when I got to Townsville, it was raining, and I didn't spot there's just a motorway that goes through, and so I pressed on, and boy, I rode into some rain, and I'll put some video up, just a little bit that I took on my phone of that rain. Jesus. So the consequence of that is I think my ignition got wet. The bike sort of stopped on me just a little ways down that road there, and about 4 k's. I managed to restart it, and it's coughed and sputtered its way to this little spot. And this is the Rolling Stone Hotel, just to the north of Townsville. And yeah, look, it's a pub on the side of the road, and I got a room here last night for $65, and you get what you pay for. But what they did do very nicely is they allowed me to park my bike up here under the covers on the landing. It's just in the dark over there, for it to dry out a bit, which it seems to have done. And look, you know, who knows whether or not I'm going to run into problems. I've got my WD-40 in my pocket just in case, and I know this is very dark because it's in a dark little corner, but I started it this morning. It seems to run all right. I've sprayed everywhere with WD-40 that I possibly can, last night and again today. In the ignition switch, this plugs under the wiring under the tank, etc, etc. So I hope I'm going to have a clear run today. So I've got about 360 kilometers to Trinity Beach. So it's now, I don't know, let's have a look. It's 20 to 7 in the morning, and there's enough light for me to get on the road, I reckon. Light rain falling, not too bad, and before I start overheating, I'm going to get onto it right away. Well, I was just coming into Cardwell and got to the first traffic circle, and I looked to my right and I saw just this absolute calm sea, this beautiful tropical kind of beach here. So this is a massive bay, but just so magical. And what's even better is they've got a coffee stand and a hot dog stand here, even in the rain. So yeah, so that's me sorted out for a little bite, and I've already had a sip of the coffee, and it's really great. But look at this is just phenomenal. It's remarkable. I was just speaking to the lady at the hot dog stand, and I was saying to her, you know, well, She says, where are you from? I said, Bondi. She said, oh, that's beautiful. I said, but look at what you got. It's just unbelievable. It's beautiful. Little cool sand beach. These beautiful patterns on it. And yeah. Cardwell. Stop by here, it's worth it.
Recording.
Well, I'm just leaving Innisfail now on the last leg of this part of the ride to Trinity Bay. So the northern leg, the north leg out of Sydney all the way up to Cairns and Trinity Beach. And from there so I'm going to spend a few days here in Trinity Beach with Carl and Phil and Gwynnie, and then I'm going to, from that point on, I'm heading west. So that's the big stretch firstly from Cairns to Karumba, and then Karumba to Darwin, and then westward from there. And I haven't quite figured out what my aiming points are after Darwin. There are a couple of options, and yeah, I'll keep you posted on that. So right now, still miserable weather, the rain's chucking it down, and I'm doing a lot of defensive WD-40 spraying on my electrics every time I stop, just to make sure I don't have the same issues as I experienced yesterday. And so far the bike's holding up pretty well, and yeah, so probably 100 kilometers to go.
Recording.
Well, it's just done a bit of a momentary die on me. The rain is really chucking it down, and this is exactly what happened yesterday. And geez, I hope it doesn't die altogether on me. It's kind of come back to life. I'm sure it's water and electrics related, but where, I don't know. So where this water is interfering with the electrics is anyone's guess. So I've sprayed behind the ignition switch, and sprayed those electrics. I've sprayed the obviously the spark plug lead. I took the cap off this morning, sprayed in there. There didn't seem to be any water. There we go. Now it's doing it now, and it's really disconcerting, because this stretch of the road, if this bloody thing conks out on me, you can see it's not a very wide emergency lane here, and visibility is not good, and you know, it's just not a good feeling to have to pull over off the road, off onto these shoulders that are so narrow. So I'm just hoping it holds together. But my confidence is waning.
Recording.
Alright, well, I'm just outside the northern sort of edge of Cairns, on my way to Trinity Beach. Let's see how far I'm away. 13 kilometers. Yeah, look, sometimes it was touch and go whether this thing was going to actually hold together. But as soon as it's dry, it goes fine. You know, there's a couple of little glitches every so often, but nothing that like it's going to die on me. Got into Trinity Beach yesterday, sort of mid-afternoonish. It was quite early. Hammered out the last, whatever it was, 320 kilometers. With issues, of course, because I rode through some hectic rain, and it's playing havoc with the electrics on the bike. A few jobs to do on the bike, and but this is where I'm at. Cole got this lovely room here at the View, right on the beach at Trinity Beach, and yeah, we got this apartment which is just phenomenal. Ground floor, walk out to the pool deck. There's my rain gear and bike stuff airing out on the deck there. So geez, I must have snored last night. I think I pretty much did. Yeah, and this goes down from here. There's some stairs that go down at the end there, down to the beach, and just fantastic. Looks like a nice morning. There's still lots of cloud about, which you can see all around, and it looks like it did rain a little bit during the night, but so far so good this morning. And